Welcome to another video from earnped.com. I am Stevie B. Happy to have you all with me today. So guys, this is the default incision plate augmented. This is the next island armor plate that gets upgraded from the regular incision plate to adjusted, improved, modified, blah, 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 blah. So this is the augmented version. Comes with 8.5 cut, 8.5 impact, 30 stab protection, but look at this, increased block chance by 4%. Now there's only one step after this. The only way to make this plate any better is to then perfect it. So as you go higher up the chain, the sinews needed to make these things get a lot harder to get. They cost a lot more to try and farm. The mobs are a lot bigger. Somebody put not one but two augmented sinews on Calypso auction with a starting bid of TT value, and they just went for 2,600% markup. Guys, these things are worth almost 12,000% markup. These things had a buyout of 3,333 ped. So 3,333 ped, 333 US dollars was the buyout. They sold for 800 ped, which is $80. And that's for a pair of two. So this is probably one of the best deals I've ever seen somebody get on auction. I was convinced that these things were going to go for 10, 11,000% markup. Here's the problem. It's 11:30 in the morning on a Sunday here in the United States. At the beginning of April, close to Easter. Lots of people aren't even online. Lots of people are at church or sleeping in or with their family having lunch right now. And on top of that, these sinews, these are lootable in PvP space. I don't even think I did the introduction for you guys. If you're just tuning in, welcome to another video from earnped.com. Sip, sip, smack, smack, all that. I'm just flabbergasted. I'm in shock because these things are lootable in PvP space, so you don't expect to see these on Cali auction most of the time. You would expect to see these on auction on Next Island. The only way somebody is going to take them from Next Island to Cali is via a warp. Nobody's going to travel through space with these. They're very, very, very valuable. As you can see, the adjusted sinews, which are used to upgrade the plates the first time, they've got great markup, 2,200%, 1 ped TT value, so they sell for about 22 ped each. I just looted one of these about a week ago. First one I've ever looted was an adjusted sinew. You'll notice the improved sinew, which is the step above adjusted, they've also got about 2,000 ped markup, 2,400% markup. If we pull up their chart, right about for the month, for the year they've been almost twice that. 5 ped TT value, and if you wanted to bid on these, you'd be bidding 100 ped. If you wanted to buy out, you'd be closer to 120. The augmented sinew, we can see the buyout has, or the value has been pretty much about 11,000% all year. And there hasn't been very many looted. These things have 15 ped TT value each. Only 165 ped total have sold. So only, 11 of these things total have sold on auction for about 11,000% markup. So these two sinews with 30 ped TT value should have sold for 3,300 ped. All day long, flat out, should have known. If JBK would have seen this auction, JBK would have bid on this. If Bonnie had seen this auction, Bonnie would have bid on this. If any of your Uber players, Messy Eve, had seen this auction, they would have snatched these up. This is probably close to what I would call a deal of a lifetime. Getting an item on auction on Planet Calypso that's worth 3,300 ped for 800 ped, that's cheap. They would have got it for 400 ped, except for I bid on it, and then they turned around and bid right back into me. And I knew who was bidding. I knew they were actually trying to create an augmented set. I believe modifieds before augmented. I believe it goes adjusted, improved, modified, augmented, perfected, because they've got a mod set. And I knew who was bidding on it because I could see the names of the bidders. And they had a bid of 100 ped, and then This person bid 400 ped. I bid like 600 ped, and they bid right back into me with 800 ped. And my thing is, right now, I'm focused on mayhem. I don't even have a set of incision plates, much less a modified set to upgrade. So I would just be putting money in there to essentially throw something else into my storage. My storage is already full. Now, there was a money-making opportunity. However, I know the person that was bidding on these, I know they're wanting to upgrade their set, and I know that they would have done the same thing I would have done. We could have sat here all day and bid back and forth until these things were up to 11,000%. I honestly have no need for them unless they're going to make me money, which they weren't. They were just going to sit in my storage. Now, could they at some point down the road? Yes, but this isn't in line with my goals. It's not in line with anything that I'm doing in game, and we would have just been bidding right back into each other. So I just stopped bidding, and I thought for sure, because I could see the other people who had bid on it, I thought for sure 3 or 4 of the other people were going to bid right back into them. I think they're at lunch, because I know those other people that were bidding have similar needs. They're working their way through the chain of adjusted, improved, modified, augmented, perfected. And I don't know if some of them just forgot or if they simply went out to lunch or what, but this is a rare event. You do not see this a lot. Generally speaking, it has to be a perfect storm for somebody to get that kind of an amazing deal. First of all, the person had to put them on auction dirt cheap, which they did. They started them out at TT value because they were trying to save a few ped in auction fees. Well, yeah, you saved a few ped in auction fees by not starting the opening bid at a really high markup, but guess what? It just cost you almost 2,400 ped in markup. So how much was that auction fees really worth? You didn't save anything in auction fees. You lost your butt because you tried to save a few bucks in auction fees. And notice it's not 1, it's 2. That's the impressive part, is it's 2 of these augmented sinews. So they started it off at TT value to avoid auction fees as much as possible. And then we've got a item that should be on next island auction, on Cali auction, so people aren't really looking at Cali auction searching for these all the time. They might be searching the next island auction for them, but why would you search for them on Cali auction as much, right? Then, Sunday morning, 11:30 in the morning, people are at church, people are sleeping in, people are eating with their families, and the people who did bid on it either mainly didn't have a primary need for it, and we're just going to try and get it to get a really good deal on something they could resell, aka what I was planning on doing. Or B, they bid on it, planned to come back, and just didn't come back. For whatever reason, be it forgot, real life called, whatever. So the person who just won this auction got an amazing deal, $80 for something worth $330. And now they're going to be able to upgrade their mod plates to this amazing set of augmented plates that comes with a 4% block chance. So, wow. And the point I'm trying to make here in all this is, guys, if you're going to be using the auction, especially on really, really high markup, very valuable, very rare items, think about what you're doing before you use the auction system. Think about the time of day. Are there a lot of people online at this time of day? I probably shouldn't end an auction, since I live in the U.S., at 4 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday for something like this. This shouldn't have been an auction that ends at 11:30 on a Sunday morning. This should have been something that ends at 4:45 in the evening on a Sunday night. Now, yes, Entropia is a worldwide game, but we've got a lot of players in the U.S., a lot of players in Europe, and there's times a day where I can have an auction end that a lot of those time zones overlap. People are awake at both places at the same time. Night in one place, morning in another, everybody's awake. That gives me the best chance on auction. Number 2, like I said, these should have been on Next Island auction. Notice there's 3 sinews on Calypso auction, but if I go to Next Island from the drop-down list, here's an augmented sinew on Next Island auction, the same thing we were just looking at. One of them, starting bid 1,400 ped. Now remember, he just paid 800 ped for 2 of them. And this person on Next Island auction has 1 for 1,400 ped, which is appropriate. That's about right. But look how many others there are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we only had 3 on Cali option. We've got 7 on Next Island auction, because guess where these are found? Next Island. Guess where the plates are that they upgrade? Next Island. This is a Next Island item they brought to Cali to sell because the market on Cali is quote-unquote bigger. Well, that's true. There's more people on the auction on Cali. However, if you're listing an item they're looking for on Next Island on Cali's auction and nobody knows it's there, that's what happens. That's the kind of thing you need to advertise. You need to let people know. You need to get the word out. Hey, I have not one, I've got 2 augmented sinews. And I'm going to take me a warp to Cali to put them on auction there. Hey, spam the chats for the next week and let everybody know these sinews are on auction. I started them off at TT value. Y'all might want to pay attention. Y'all might want to bid on them. It has nothing to do with, oh, Entropia is a dying game, or it's got a low number of players or low number of daily averages, blah, blah. It's nothing of that. It was poor planning and poor marketing by the person that sold them. They did all the wrong things. It is laziness, and it is being cheap at the height of cheapness. They were starting it off at TT value, trying to save a few PED worth of auction fees. They lost over 2,400 PED worth of markup as a result. They didn't want to take the time to spam it in the trade channels or to let their society mates know, or to get the word out that they had brought them from Next Island to Cali. So therefore, nobody knew they were on auction. I just stumbled across them. So did apparently only like 1 or 2 other people. I actually was looking on Next Island, I thought, and I just didn't hit the drop-down menu, so I was like, oh, I accidentally searched Cali. What? Right. And then the time of day, it was all a perfect storm of laziness. So there's a lot of stuff like animal oils that you can sell pretty much anytime, day or night, does not matter. But if you've got an ultra-rare loot, ultra-rare item, guys, think about what you're doing. Think about the time of day you're putting it on auction. Think about which auction you're putting it on. Is this something people are looking for on Next Island's auction? Or is this something they're looking for on Calypso's auction? If they would normally be looking on Next Island and I'm putting it on Cali, I probably need to put that out. I probably need to make a video about it. Let my society mates know. Put it in the trade channels. Give you another example. HDD. Okay. Cool, there's one. This is Cali auction. And yes, that's in line with markups. But the same thing would happen with this item. Most people would not be looking for this item on Calypso auction. Most people would be looking on Monria. Where's Monria? No HDDs on Monria. But the same thing. There's things in game that just because you know it's rare and you know what it's used for doesn't mean everybody else is going to know it's rare and everybody else is going to know what it's used for. So keep that in mind. Think about what it is you're listing. Think about where people would expect it to be, like which auction. And then think about time of day that you're listing it. Think about all those things. Do more than just grab something out of your storage and throw it on auction is what I'm getting at. Otherwise, you end up in the position this person's now in. I guarantee you when they log in, they're going to be sick to their stomach to see that. This is also why you want to check the other auctions every now and then. See what's on auction on the asteroid. See what's on auction on ancient Greece, if anything. Or hunt the thing, the hub. You would be surprised. Did you know that there's an auction in hell? Bet you didn't. Have you ever looked at the auction for hunt the thing? There's nothing on it, but have you ever looked? So how would you know? Right. So, oh look, there's a HDD in DSEC 9. Again, a 1 terabyte, again, in line with markups. But guess where it should be? It should be in DSEC 9. It should be on Monria. It's the only one currently listed. So, but my point being is, guys, there's a lot more to the auction system than just throw it on and slap a starting bid and go, oh, it's a rare item, somebody's going to buy it. Yeah, somebody's going to buy it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go for the markup you think it should or you want it to, or that really justifiably it should be going for. there's no reason, other than the perfect storm of everything I just mentioned, that those sinews should have just gone for the 800 ped they went for. By all rights, those sinews should have gone for about 3,300 ped for the pair. It is all due to that perfect storm, which just boils down to being lazy and cheap on the half of the seller. You don't normally see that, but part of the reason I wanted to make that video was to point out the reasons things like that do happen once in a blue moon. In fact, I was even talking to the person that won them while the auction was ending. I knew they would outbid me no matter how much I bid. And like I said, I really didn't need them. And we both thought for sure that there were 2 or 3 other people that were going to start bidding, and it was going to go for about 10 to 11,000% markup. We were both floored when it didn't. But I put it out there to show you all the things you can do wrong, because if you guys look for things like that that other people do wrong, there are opportunities to be made using the auction system. Now, it's once in a blue moon. It has to be the absolute perfect storm. With my luck, if somebody would have bid back into me, whether they had a use for them or not, with my luck, everybody would have been online. Everybody would have cut their family lunch short to come home just to bid on something that I was after, that I really needed to meet one of my end game goals. However, that doesn't mean I'm going to be sour about it if somebody else got a great deal. It wasn't money out of my pocket. And to be honest, if you're going to be that lazy about how you handle putting your stuff on auction, you don't deserve to get what it's actually worth. You're giving up that markup by not properly utilizing your knowledge just of general how people work. People don't get up at 4 in the morning to bid on video game auctions. They don't. People don't come home from church early or skip family lunches to bid on video game auctions. Not everybody has an Android device in their pocket and has access to the auction system on the go. Some people have to be sitting in front of the computer. iPhone users would be a prime example. So guys, there are still opportunities to make money on auction in Entropia, even in 2023. That's a great example right there. It's also a word of caution and warning for whenever you go to list your stuff on auction. So I hope you can take away both things from this, that A, there's opportunities on auction when other people are sloppy and lazy, but B, word of warning, word of caution, being sloppy and lazy could cost you a huge amount of markup. So take the little bit of time and effort that goes into planning your auction, thinking about your plan, and then if need be, putting it out to society mates and trade channels. So guys, I'll leave it there for today. Sip, sip, smack, smack. Y'all know the rest. Head over to earnped.com, because when you earn, we earn. That's the best way you guys can help support us. Use the links on the website to go to hideout.tv. They will add us as a redemption option. Guys, hit all 3 of those links. Subscribe, like the video, and hit the bell icon. When you do, YouTube puts our videos into circulation more, gives us more exposure, shows people our videos that are normally into PC gaming, real cash economy gaming, all kinds of good stuff like that. And usually they haven't heard of Entropia. So when they see our videos, it's the very first exposure they get. They start learning to play harder, not smarter. Or, hold on, rewind, reverse that. Start learning to play smarter, not harder. And then they end up being part of Entropia. They end up being part of the community. They end up being your society mate, somebody that buys something off you off auction. It helps us, yes, but it also helps the game, the economy, and it might even help you. So hit all 3 of the buttons, if not for us, potentially for yourself. We'll leave it there for today. We got a lot more coming with Easter Mayhem. Big congratulations to the person who got such a great deal on those. Perfect storm worked out in your favor. I hope it happens to me someday. Till next time, sip, sip, smack, smack. Take care, Stevies.